Hello everyone, so here I'm going to be replacing this guy here, which is this motor that sits within this door lock, which is composed of quite a few parts that are sitting, cables coming off of it. This is a W251 R-Class. In particular, this is a 2006 R500 Mercedes. So I took the handle apart to see what's involved, and I thought I'll make a video for it. So I don't see any other instructions online on how to get these guys open, but I'm basically just replacing this, and I'm doing the little spring kit, which I've seen plenty of videos for. So basically, since I already got the handle open, I'm gonna swap this guy out. So you can see once I got the motor out, it seems to swap out quite simply. You've just got this guy, and you just put the two prongs inside of here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lay that guy in there and push it on. So once you got that guy on there, this guy just kind of sits on there. It doesn't really go into a hole or anything. There's no hole for it to go into. So we've got that. Basically how this is going to fit is this is going to, that spring sits on there. But anyways, this sits like that. So once you got the motor in, you're going to roll this guy into there. And this little pin on the very end where those threads are is going to go into that hole. And this spring sits like that on this shaft, and the other end sits on this arm right here. So I'm going to try and carefully install that. Definitely can't do that with one hand. I don't have my tripod today. So I'll show you what exactly I had to do to get this guy apart. As you can see, it's just got these little tabs here. And then this guy has some pretty stout metal tabs that you just have to kind of bend here and here. And then there's a couple more on the other side, I believe, right here. So right there and right here. Alright, so I'll put this back on, then we'll go after the springs. One thing I've noticed as I'm trying to get this guy on is that this spring has one arm that seems like it's longer than the other, so I put this on one way. It doesn't quite grab that arm, but I flip it around and it sits on there pretty nicely. So just kind of take note that it does go on one way. One arm is just a few millimeters longer than the other. Alright, so I got it back closed. Just takes a little bit of finagling, a little motivation. There's one tab right here that sits behind there. There's this one right here. Gotta close that a little more. That sits back behind there, and you bend it down. And then you've got these two on this back side that you bend past their marks, and you just make sure all these plastic clips, which seem pretty fragile, get back on there. So, you know, be careful of those. I think I broke that one off, but seems like the metal holds pretty well. You could probably use some adhesive or tape, whatever you got to do to keep it pretty securely shut. I got mine closed. I popped the spring that I'm going to be replacing that goes in that little hole out, just to give me a little bit of room. But you can see that big spring that I was talking about. You can let's see, you can kind of see it's still sitting on the arm there. You can see that it's kind of sitting above the arm there. So it sits right here on this little hook right here. Trying to focus it, sorry. And so basically what I did was I used kind of a pocket screwdriver like this. And as I was closing it, kind of tried to keep pressure on the other side. See if I can get it. I tried to kind of keep, let's see, this side pushed down like that as I was trying to like work it on there. So I kind of was holding the metal side like this while I was kind of palming with my other hand the side just to keep it above this white tab that's in there. So now that I'm here, I should just be able to kind of work this guy on there. So now you can see my pin sitting there, and then the other one literally just sits in that groove like that. I made note to see that before I took it out. So now I'm going to install the spring that goes through that little hole right there, the tiny one right next to the dial looking marking, and then it sits on there too. So kit came with these little forceps. That's the old spring. Apparently these tend to break, so it looks like they give you quite a few. If that spring is broken, it will actually make it so the door lock goes up and down very quickly. In my case, my door handle wasn't making any noise. You can see my spring's still intact, so mine just stopped doing anything. It won't lock, it won't unlock, it won't even try. So pretty much knew right away the motor was bad, and luckily enough I found the motor online, so I'm gonna go ahead and install that. I haven't seen a couple of videos, other people installing these guys. You can just put these locking forceps on there, and I think that's what they're called, and you know, put them on. This spring's a lot thicker than these ones I have. These are kind of small, and the one I've got in there is pretty fat, so I'm just gonna roll with this one. If it breaks, whatever, I'll replace it, but it's working for now. You can kind of see its operation. It's really pretty stout, so it actually goes in the hole that's farther back under there. You can kind of see that, not this one that's up front that I was saying earlier. So I got that going. Now I'm just gonna pretty much hook it up and see if it works, and bend those tabs, and there's a little screw that went in here to keep it from popping off. Put that Phillips back in there. Alright, so yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's actually just these white clips. I bent those tabs down. I'd say the hardest part's remembering how to put this guy back on. So you basically hook those guys into these grooves like that and that. I've got another cable here. I believe this one, which is a goes to the door handle, goes here. Just gotta push it in kind of hard. Wrong one. This one here. You can kind of tell by how long the cable is. You can see that it's too long for that other one. These are actually for the this guy here. This is like the cover and the little guy that pops up and down, so I'm gonna have to get that on. It's kind of tricky to get on. I'll show you. You're gonna see this for yourself, but when you get this guy out of there. But this is how this assembly fits. I am filming this kind of backwards, but this sits right here behind the door. So you do have to take these two screws that sit right here and here. You gotta loosen them a little bit. Get this guy off. Try and take some close-up video here to show you how everything fits. So this cover is held in by three little clips here that you just gotta kind of get out. Another one here. This one just kind of lifts over. Then you go up here. this guy, which is that upper arm that kind of is floating, is released by this one clip and just slides off this way. That's the only thing really holding that guy on, and you just have to, of course, release its cable. And then this guy has the pop-up arm that goes under here, which you're gonna have to feed through here and link on and then push the cover on. And this guy feeds through here. This is the actual handle release cable that you put on the door handle. Feeds around the back of this. Let's see here. So we got those three. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to it. It's just a little confusing. You just gotta, I mean, just take maybe some pictures or use this guide as a reference. Just remember when you take it out, and it should be pretty easy to just kind of put back together. So this whole assembly is going to sit in this door just like that. Just like that. Now I'm going to see if it works.